Mr. Seeback. Mr. Chair. Minister, I want to pick up a little bit on where we've been going with this discussion. We're talking a little bit about certainty on the imposition of a fine, and I found the information you provided in your statement to be quite interesting and worth repeating. 84% of the times in a summary conviction, the fine was not imposed, the surcharge was not imposed, and in 91% of the indictable cases. But I think for me, when I look at it as well, you mentioned that even when it was not imposed, there were no reasons suggested as for why. And if I take my look at the criminal code here, it's under section 737 sub 6 saying that when the court does waive, they have to give reasons. So would this be sort of part of the reason why you're looking at this legislation, because it seems to be a strange application of this section that's going on?
Well, I think one of the things that people have told me, those who work with me, is that there is no consistency in this particular area. And I don't know if there's anybody who would disagree with that. There is no consistency on that. And it seems to me that on the one level, there should be consistency with respect to the application of the penalty provisions of the criminal code. I think that stands on its own. But quite apart from that, the concept of reinforcing our support for victims of crime and victim services is something that sells itself and commends itself to me, and I'm sure to most people as well. It's a good idea to assist with programs that assist victims of crime in this country. So it seems to me it works on both levels, that we can and should have a consistency with respect to the penalties that are dealt with in the criminal code, and at the same time that whatever efforts that are made by us as parliamentarians to support victims of crime in this country and victim services is something that can and should be supported. So I think it works on both those levels. And so why did we do this? Well, you know of our continuing efforts with respect to the support for victims of crime in this country. This is a perfect fit. But you're quite correct. At the same time, I've heard about this now for quite some time, that there is a complete inconsistency of this. And as I pointed out to Ms. Finley, it's been since 2000 that even the level of the fines has been revisited. I mean, we can't go for another 100 years and leave it at $50, for a summary conviction offenses. I mean, you've got to have a look at it every so often and say, okay, is this keeping pace with the demands for victim services in this country? So they are not stuck, at 2000 level of services and prices. And so again, the amount of money going to help victims has to be consistent with that as well.
Talking about support for victims, of course, it's something that we think is very important. I assume you've done some consultation. I know that the Federal Ombudsman for Victims of Crime, Sue O'Sullivan, has said that that we should double the victim surcharge and make it mandatory in all cases without exception. I take it that's someone that you've consulted with respect to this legislation, because it seems we've hit that nail bang on the head.
Well, thank you for raising that. And as was pointed out by Mr. Kotler, the former Attorney General of Manitoba had asked that we increase the victim surcharge, but certainly the Federal Ombudsman for Victims of Crime, as you just pointed out, she too has been calling for changes to the criminal code that are very similar to what you're looking at today. And so, again, nothing's perfect, but I imagine she will be quite pleased when she gets the opportunity to comment on this.
Great. 1 minute. Wow, that's fantastic. And when you look at the application, and again, I want to go back to the consistency of the application of this. Do you see any circumstances where the new surcharge is not going to be able to be imposed?
One of the things that we've made very clear in the legislation is that now it is going to be imposed, that there's not a waiver of it at the time of sentencing. This is a part of the sentence. So if you get a fine, there is an automatic 30% increase for victim services, and we have doubled the victim surcharge for all summary and indictable offense convictions in this country. So it's going to be across the board. This is now going to be built into the criminal code when this bill is hopefully passed out of this committee and gets third reading and then proceeds to the Senate and royal assent. And so this will be a part of the laws of this country. And again, I think the majority of Canadians will welcome this, and I think this is a step in the right direction, as you can tell.
Thank you.